Cancer, it's Romy here. Thanks so much for joining me on the channel and your March 2024 soul story. If you have a sun, rising or moon in the sign of Cancer, then this might resonate for you as you move through the next few weeks. We are going to open up this month for you with the energy of the King of Wands. And we are lighting up in Pisces season your 9th house. And it is really this sense of it being like an epic vision quest through the next month. It's kind of like you realize life is asking you for a new way to approach it. And I think there's a part of you that's maybe still trying to figure out what that looks like. And you're willing, which is wonderful to see, to kind of keep experimenting through the course of March. And I would encourage you to do so because something is going to land. Now, it does require a bravery, a courage, and a confidence. And if you feel lost, understand that you're just experiencing something different than you want to be experiencing right now. And this sort of trial and error energy that I'm picking up for March can be incredibly helpful so that you can just start to really see and feel what's coming in on the horizon. And the big question the King of Wands is going to be asking you is like, how do you let it in? How do you let it in? Because this can feel either exciting or super stressful. You absolutely get to decide. But you're bringing a degree of tenacity to this month. And I think that's what we want to see from you, because there are certain things that you are redefining as new standards for yourself. And in this first week of the month, we'll be welcoming Mercury shifting into the sign of Aries. We've got that fire in terms of how we're expressing ourselves, the language that we're using. We're much more intentional. And, we have to remember at the same time, we're going to be coming up against a lot of conflicting evidence through the course of March. And so, it's going to be your job to have to sift through that. And you will have to go with your heart. King of Wands is always going to lead by that energy. And you know what? This is personal. No one can truly tell you what the right way for you is going to be. There may even be parts of you that's wondering, how on earth am I going to fit in everything that I need to do through the course of March? Or how do I approach the changes that I know need to happen? I will say that you're going to be pleasantly surprised that you will be able to get an awful lot done in a very efficient way. And that means that you'll also have a greater degree of energy to work with, okay? We do have a Mars squaring Uranus on the 9th, and it can be quite a erratic, chaotic energy that can spur us into action. That said, we're coming through with the Four of Cups here, and it feels to me, along with the King of Wands, and even as we talk about that particular astrological aspect, there's something in you that's kind of resisting. So it's almost like you feel the motivation and you're still maybe even sabotaging or feeling like I still can't quite decide if this is what I want to do, even though you still have this sense of sort of urgency. In some ways, I want to say, stop rushing the things that you want to be more sustainable in your life. And so the Four of Cups can kind of bring us in a opportunity to perhaps just pause and reflect. That said, there's something else going on deeper here. And, it may be that you're finding it kind of quite difficult to relax or to switch off. And, we can't force ourselves to do these things. Sometimes we have to give ourselves permission to create the time and space to actually unwind if we're feeling kind of really tense or wound up through the course of this month. As we approach the new moon in Pisces, it's going to come in on the 10th at 20 degrees. The Four of Cups can also sort of plunge us, and sometimes Pisces energy can do this. It's a fellow water sign, so it kind of speaks a language that you understand, right, Cancer? But, from an emotional perspective, it may feel like there's something that's kind of quite complex going on for you. And, you may feel like it's holding you back. So you're going to want to try to push through it. But there is a sense of not doing that, because in a way you could become overwhelmed or decide that you just want to check out. So, there's a lot of ethereal, beautiful, divine inspiration coming in around that new moon in Pisces, an opportunity to heal something. But there's also a part of you that's just like, I don't even know if I want to go there. That's kind of what I'm picking up. I don't even know if I want to go there. And sometimes, we can't force ourselves to sort of work on something if there's a part of us that's not ready to do that. So again, it's going to be down to an individual understanding from your perspective. you know. The other thing I want to say that seems to be kind of coming through quite strong for you this month is, you know, as you're vision questing, this ninth house is, you know, forcing you to kind of really contemplate that bigger picture, that future. And you know what? The future isn't going to be any less complex. It's not going to be any less unpredictable than it is at this moment. And so when you can sort of tap in to the part of yourself that's urgently searching or seeking for more love, more peace, more abundance, you know, check in with that a little bit. See what's the chasing element, you know, that's coming from that ego, because there's something misaligned here and it's sort of keeping you in this constant loop of pursuit, and there's almost like a falseness to the journey. And the Five of Swords is telling me that we just kind of keep coming back around to the same experience. When I'm here, things will be better. When this has happened, it will improve. I'll get over it when this shows up. And we all understand that, you know, we take ourselves with us, and that at any given moment, you know, down the line, you know, the experiences that we'll have are constantly going to be challenging us in new and different ways. And so it really is about how you can nurture and nourish and cultivate an experience of being completely okay with where you are. And I think March is asking of you. This is why I'm saying, like, life is asking you for a new way to approach it, because we're trying to set you free from something. Yeah, and you know, this feels quite pivotal in terms of how you kind of move through the remainder of the year as well. So try to understand how this message is showing up for you over these coming weeks. Now, we'll have Venus coming into Pisces on the 11th, and you know, that does bring a little bit more of a tactile energy as we're seeking to connect. That said, you know, as we sort of power through the month, I think, you know, your cardinal energy, which is very aligned with Aries. You know, I know you've got the water component with Pisces, but for me, I'm feeling that for March, it's not going to really be till we come into Aries season on the 19th that you're just a lot more sure of yourself and clear thinking. And as that sun, you know, bursts into Aries, we're of course going to be welcoming the equinox. Now, overall, March has a more positive astrological aspect, kind of series of dates coming through. That said, of course, we do have the lunar eclipse coming in on the 25th. So that's the big one to look out for. We are going to have a test of stability. Now, the Chariot comes through. Of course, it does align with your card as well, Cancer. So beautiful to see that showing up. And it kind of tells me where there's a will, there's a way. Okay, we're gonna forge ahead regardless. And sometimes the path to get to the goal may not be what we expect. It may be the exact polarity. What do I mean by that? If we're seeking acceptance, you know, we have to understand that if we're looking for peace, we might have to move through frustration or rage. You know, if we're trying to cultivate or nurture more joy, sometimes the path takes us through pain or grief. And so there's something about like the challenge of what you may experience in one of the pathways that's pertinent to an area of your life in March that is wholly necessary in order to get to the other side, to the very thing that you know is going to be waiting for you and helping to transform your experience. But as I said, understanding that that future isn't going to be necessarily less complex or unpredictable, but necessarily it is something that you are entitled and deserving of, and there is no reason why you shouldn't hold space and have the keen desire, because you know that there's a capacity to have more, to be more deeply fulfilled. And I think that's what the Chariot's telling me. Like, I'm feeling through the month of March, you're seeing something on the horizon that you know is going to make you more fulfilled. So it's just like, okay, how do I let this in? Big question. How do I let this in? Now, equinox energy helps us to rebalance things. That seasonal alignment brings around a reevaluation moment. And with it, you know, we can kind of come back into our own natural rhythm. And so if you've been very out of sync or out of rhythm with yourself in sort of different areas, this is an opportunity to kind of sit back and reflect. And Four of Cups, you know, tells me there's something out of sync here. You know, we're not working in quite the way we should be. We're not thinking in the way that we normally would. And sometimes, yes, a pattern interruption is necessary, but nonetheless, like, you know, you're aware that something kind of needs to be adjusted. You know, there's a new attitude or approach or perception that we're looking to hold space for. Okay. At the same time, you know, when we talk about this idea of how you're going to be fitting it all in through the course of this month, and you will get things done very efficiently, Chariot says you also may go, you may be in a scenario, right, Cancer, where through the month of March, you just kind of have to get it done, right? It might not be perfect, but you will get it done and you can do it very efficiently. But I do sense there might be a time when you will revisit it to sort of polish things up a little bit more. So a bit rough and ready, a bit trial and error, a little bit experimental, all of that kind of a way to show up for the next few weeks could be super helpful, just in helping you to see the progress and not end up in this constant loop of like, you know, I can't get out, I feel stuck, I can't move forward, or I keep ending up, you know, somewhere new, but it's the same story. It's the same story over and over again. So let's talk about this full moon coming in Libra, the lunar eclipse at 5 degrees on the 25th. You have Ace of Pentacles here. Now, of course, there's an emphasis around the energy of these lunar eclipses, working with them right through to 2025. This me versus we axis, okay, coming into the 10th house. So there's something for you, you know, very pertinent to kind of what's happening in your career, your purpose, the sort of legacy that you're leaving in the room, what you're trying to achieve and attain, and the relationships that help to facilitate that or not. And so there's a lot being unearthed and revealed around that full moon. Not the best time to be doing our rituals. Choose equinox for that through the month of March. You'll have much more you know, weightedness and you know, a deeper degree of connection and opportunity to receive more divine messages, okay? But Ace of Pentacles coming through around that full moon. So, you know, we're looking at where's the growth coming from? You know, where's this new beginning? What is it going to take? What does it look like? And, you know, the Ace of Pentacles, you know, of all of the elements is the most slow moving. And it's almost like we've powered towards something and then we kind of grind to a halt. And the Ace says, okay, you know, we've arrived at this new foundation, this new platform. How are we going to rebuild this? And so I think there's going to be lots of interesting discussions for you pertaining to relationships and connections. Remember, of course, the one with yourself being most important, about how do we take this forward? And how do we do this in a way that's sustainable? Remember what I said, stop rushing the things that you want to bring more sustainability and have more longevity to in your life. And sometimes that root can take some time to kind of really seed itself into the earth before we start to see what it's capable of. You're looking at this with curiosity, perhaps also a little bit of trepidation. So what you might be hearing around that time, or even what you might be suggesting or presenting, could also sort of have a sense of you're not quite sure that this is necessarily the right way or the right thing to do. Nonetheless, it's a sense of King of Wands saying, well, we just have to try. We just have to try, you know, let's give it a punt, let's give it a go, let's just trust our instincts, let's go bold. And, you know, I think that kind of an energy, as you deal with the revelations that are coming through, brings a lot up into the mix, okay? So, you know, for some of you, it could be crystal clear clarity landing and going, right, goodness, okay, now I see this bigger piece on the horizon that could feel quite exciting, but there's also, I think, quite a lot of stress and tension and urgency that seems to sort of be surfacing around that time, perhaps even because you're ready and they're not. You know, you're trying to get on the same page, you're trying to see whether the standards that you've set for yourself mirror those which you are being you know, given energetically by the people that you're connecting to. And, you know, all of these issues are things that have already sort of been raised toward, you know, the end of last year as we went through those bigger eclipse seasons. Back in October. So remind yourself of what you were dealing with, what was being shown to you, what was being activated within you, because this is a continuation of the story. So therefore, we know that there's not necessarily going to be a full resolution around what comes up on this lunar eclipse either, okay? But it's certainly giving you an awful lot of food for thought. And with that Ace of Pentacles, it tells me there's something pretty meaningful here that can actually come almost like carry you into a pathway that's going to be, you know, quite lucrative, quite abundant, quite prosperous, quite advantageous to your well-being and improvement of situations. But, you know, it's one of these, let's plant the seed right now. We're coming into the new beginning of the astrological year, and this is a time to kind of look toward the future. You've got another Ace of Cups coming in, and really consider, you know, how do I want to show up? Who do I want to be? And what am I going to be prioritizing? Less is more, and there's a sense of needing to strip back and simplify so that you can create and allow space. And remember what I said, because there's a huge emphasis always with Ace of Cups around kind of taking care of yourself. If you are finding it incredibly difficult to switch off, to relax, you can't force that. You know, you're going to have to stop and give yourself permission. You're going to have to start creating space and time to begin the process of what it means to unwind. That might go in the face of the urgency, the motivation, the kind of spring is in the air if you're in the northern hemisphere, and that sort of vibe that feels like I've got to get going, I want to do it, it needs to be done, you know, it has to all happen now. Again, start to ask the questions of what part of me is on that kind of hamster wheel of feeling like it's got to happen now. You know, you're going to be shifting and changing so many things through the course of the next few weeks. Better to be in sort of a thoughtful, open energy so that you're not making impulsive, rash decisions. It's always a bit more challenging when we're, you know, navigating with Aries energy. But Pallas Athena, the asteroid goddess that helps us with our strategy, is going retrograde in Sagittarius on the 29th. And she's saying, you know what, look before you leap. Take a moment and start to rethink some of those bigger plans. Is there enough time and space for you written into that? Do you actually have the heart to carry this through? Does it actually move you and bring you passion? Do you feel excited about it? Does it feel good to you? You know, is it compromising you know, another area of your life that you desperately want to put some focus and prioritization towards? You know, these are the things that you're going to be asking yourself through the month of March, and all of it really valid. And then right toward the end on the 31st, Vesta is going to be shifting into your sign. And again, I think she's going to help you to just sort of pay attention to something really close to home and make sure that you keep the fires burning for what matters to you. Sometimes we can get distracted. We can have that shiny object syndrome showing up. We can be told, here are the things that you must focus on or you should be focusing upon. Or we can allow ourselves to be kind of taken off down the rabbit holes because we're avoiding the very thing that's going to help to set us free. So we have to work on that self-sabotage. So Vesta in your sign is going to be really helpful in just nurturing and holding space for that beautiful sacred inner flame, and really ensuring that you're putting yourself first, because this is a time when you're going to, yes, receive the testing of the stability in your world, but there's this beautiful run of energy that says you're powering towards something that's going to be completely different for you. Yeah, there's a whole sense of like a new adventure, a new way of being, a new kind of opportunity to do something you've never done before, come into contact with people that have been on the periphery of your life and waiting to come in, waiting for you to be able to let them in. So a big kind of shift happening on you, on your energy in a deeply personal way that others might not notice straight away, but you're certainly going to feel it within yourself. Now, if you're new to the channel, Cancer, our last 3 cards we cover in the extended version of my reading. We talk for another 30 minutes or so. We're going to look at a personal question and a relationship card for you as well, and an equinox card. So please do join me. The link is in the description box below. I'm going to go ahead and just clarify the main cards and see the direction that some of these messages are going to be moving towards. So we're going to start with the King of Wands. We've got 5 of Pentacles. You can check out my Sacred Soul support this month. We've got beautiful guided meditations for the equinox, Sacred Violet Flame transmutation to work with. You can find that and all my other sacred titles, also ways to work with me, over on the website romywiser.com. Okay, 5 of Swords coming in with the Star, Page of Wands, 7 of Cups, Chariot, another Ace of Pentacles and Temperance. You are getting some really inspired ideas this month. Pay attention around that new moon in Pisces. You might want to discard them. It's almost like there's a feeling of like, you know, this is a great idea, and then sort of talking yourself back out of it. don't do that. Even if you just note it down to return to when your energy is shifted a little bit, you'll see the value and the merit in it, okay? All the decks I use, Cancer, always listed in the comment and description box underneath. Okay, let's go ahead and just look at Life Soul Vision now. This is my own oracle deck. Okay, we have throat energy, the wishing tree, we've got the sun, mirrors of the mind, got solstice, labyrinth of sweet surrender. Okay. Finally, let's pull an energy oracle card for you, Cancer. This is for the month of March. What do we have here? Victory. Lovely. Okay. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you'll join me for the extended. You take care. Have a beautiful month of March, and I'll see you again next time. Bye.